Last week, on June 25th, 2026, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Mullen versus Al Otro Lado that asylum seekers who are physically blocked by U.S. authorities from setting foot on U.S. soil at ports of entry, quote, have not legally arrived in the United States. And this allows border agents to block refugees before they can apply for asylum. This cruel asylum ruling was handed down the same day alongside another Supreme Court decision, Mullen versus Doe, which allows the Trump administration to terminate temporary protected status for about 350,000 Haitians and over 6,000 Syrians. Temporary protected status had been granted to the refugees from Haiti after the devastating 2010 earthquake had left Haitians homeless and seeking refuge. Donald Trump has said Haitians are, quote, filthy, dirty, and disgusting, and probably have AIDS, and he has called Haiti a S-hole country. The Trump administration, of course, is hell-bent on deporting as many human beings as possible, whether they are here legally or not. Temporary protected status had also been granted to thousands of refugees from Syria during the repressive regime of Bashar al-Assad. Together, these two decisions hand Trump unchecked authority to slam the door in the face of human souls seeking refuge from wars, disasters, violence, and persecution. In Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, and El Salvador, Christians face severe persecution, primarily from organized crime, gangs, and corrupt governments. Church leaders are frequently targeted for extortion, violence, and murder because church congregations are viewed by these gangs as sources of income through extortion. Groups like MS-13 and Barrio 18 exert territorial control over vast areas in Central America. They often target pastors and parishioners who oppose their power. Pastors who preach against violence and try to help young men to leave the gangs are often victims of the gang violence. Outreach centers, youth programs, and shelters run by churches have been forced to suspend their operations. Christian leaders and their families face regular harassment, death threats, and property destruction. Thousands of Christians have been forced out of their homes. Many others have had to abandon their homes and join migrant caravans in order to escape the violence. They seek refuge. They seek asylum in the USA. Gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 violently target civilians for extortion and forced recruitment. Those who refuse face severe beatings, kidnapping, or death. Sexual assault is rampant in the region. When local police fail to protect the victims, women and girls are forced to seek protection as refugees. The United States government greatly contributed to the destabilization of Central America through the decades with its corrupt policies and many military interventions. The U.S. government severely crippled democratic institutions, fueled brutal civil wars, and fostered the extreme poverty and gang violence that plague the region today. And here is how that happened. During the 20th century, U.S. foreign policy focused heavily on protecting American corporate interests, most notably the United Fruit Company. The U.S. government routinely deployed the military, coined the Banana Wars, to depose Central American leaders who attempted to regulate U.S. corporations or to implement fair labor laws. Large U.S. corporations controlled vast swaths of fertile land, communication lines, and the railroads, and this forced local populations into extreme poverty and peasant labor, starving the local economies. From the 1950s through the 1980s, the U.S. military frequently overthrew democratically elected governments in favor of military dictatorships. The CIA launched a covert coup that overthrew the democratically elected president in Guatemala after he attempted land reform. This intervention triggered a 36-year civil war and subsequent genocides against indigenous populations, leaving over 200,000 dead. In El Salvador, the U.S. government provided billions of dollars in military aid and training to authoritarian Salvadoran dictators. U.S.-trained Salvadoran military units committed mass atrocities, including one brutal massacre where hundreds of innocent civilians were executed. And today's gang epidemic in Central America has direct roots in U.S. policy. During the civil wars of the 1980s, thousands of refugees fled to the U.S., where street gangs like MS-13 and Barrio 18 were formed for protection in Los Angeles. In the 1990s, the U.S. implemented aggressive deportation policies, sending thousands of these gang members back to Central American countries, and the LA gangs rapidly grew and spread throughout the Central American nations, transforming that region into one of the world's most violent territories in the world. People do not lightly leave their homes and everything they have to step out into the unknown, making a journey that takes them through many dangers. These asylum seekers are desperate people. Refugees and migrants flee Central America to escape the extreme violence, traveling northward through Mexico, facing dangerous conditions. Central American migrants enter Mexico through the southern border. Some of them with resources may board buses, while others try to ride freight trains across Mexico. Most migrants end up walking thousands of miles across the country. Along the way, these migrants are highly vulnerable to extortion, kidnappings, and sexual violence by the cartels and human traffickers. Trump's cruel policy decisions will result in more hardships and more deaths by forcing desperate asylum seekers to attempt dangerous desert crossings and to swim the Rio Grande, blocking desperate and vulnerable people from reaching refuge leaves them stranded where they are preyed upon by the cartels. The Lord God consistently commands believers to show mercy and to show love to aliens, strangers, and foreigners. But the stranger that dwells with you shall be to you as one born among you, and you shall love him as yourself. I am the Lord your God. And when you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field, neither shall you gather the gleanings of your harvest. You shall not glean your vineyard, neither shall you gather every grape of your vineyard. You shall leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am the Lord your God. In the scriptures we read that Jesus was asked this question, "Who is my neighbor?" Jesus answered by emphasizing mercy to the outsider through the parable of the Good Samaritan. Believers are encouraged to practice hospitality to everyone, knowing that some have entertained angels unaware. The overarching biblical message is that showing mercy to the outsider is a direct reflection of loving God. Jesus warned us that in these end times, the love of many people would grow cold. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of your coming and of the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said to them, "Take heed that no man deceive you." And among the signs of the end of the world that Jesus gave them, he said this, "The love of many shall grow cold, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. Let not your heart grow cold. Let your heart not be as the hearts of many that grow cold in these last days. He has shown you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you but to do justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God?"